welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. It says, in the book of Ruth, the concept of a kinsman redeemer seems to permit a man to have more than one wife. Please give some insight into this concept, and is it in effect today? Well, we're going to get to the book of Ruth, but let's begin with the book of Matthew chapter 19, where Jesus Christ, shall we say, is being criticized by those who do not believe not only in his identity, but necessarily in his teachings. And he says that marriage was originally conceived by God to be between one man and one woman. That's not an opinion. That's not a perspective. That is from the mouth of God himself as recorded in Scripture. Now, there are ample cases in the Old Testament of people, some in the New Testament, who have multiple spouses, particularly multiple wives. And understand, God's permissive will is a whole lot different than his directive will. But that's a whole question for a different episode. The issue today is about the kinsman redeemer in the book of Ruth. Let me remind all of us regarding that story that we had individuals whose husbands had died. So the kinsman redeemer was one who took somebody as their spouse, not in an intimate manner, but in a protective manner, a provisionary manner, much like Boaz did in that famous story. Now, again, in the book of Matthew chapter 22, famous analogy and story where the Sadducees come to Jesus and talk about a woman who marries a man who dies. She goes through 7 brothers. They question, who will her husband be in heaven? Basically, in biblical days, if a lady was married to a man and he passed away, the next of kin would redeem her. Now, that word redeem means to purchase or to buy. Understand, her dowry had already been consumed by her original husband. So to redeem her would be to take her under his roof, for lack of better terms, without a dowry, because she did not have one to provide, and to protect and to provide for her, thus nearest of kin redeeming her. So the multiple wives scenario with the kinsman redeemer wasn't one of, shall we say, multiple intimate relationships. That was reserved for that one wife, as mentioned by Jesus in Matthew 19. This was more of a way of provision and protection for those who did not have one to do so for themselves. Great question. If you have one, send it to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.